Today we are talking how to know when it's time to run Facebook ads. The reason I wanted to do this live is because I feel like there's so many like conflicting opinions about this. And I also feel like, as the industry does, it's always splits, where it's like, there's like one part where it's like, oh my God, like the only way you can grow anymore is to run ads. And then there's like another part where it's like ads are too expensive now. It's like not even a thing. Don't bother. And I don't think either of those are true. So I want to talk a little bit about that today, how to know if it's the right thing for you, when it might be the right thing for you, and really like see it as a tool, right? Like ads are a great tool in your business. They may or may not be the right tool to use at the right time. And that's always my thing is like, how do we solve the right problem? So today we're going to talk about how do you solve the right problem with ads and when to lean into that. So hey, Shantae. So if you guys have questions on that too, feel free to pop them in the chat. Happy to answer questions that you have on this in your own business too, but I'll go through, give you my thoughts and give you some examples. I have some clients that run ads. Sometimes I have some clients that run ads all the time. I have some clients that never run ads. It just depends. So we will go through those examples. In fact, let me write something on my note. Okay. Cool. I just want to make sure I don't forget to tell you that. All right. Okay. Also, the thing I want to make sure I don't forget to tell you before we go on too far is I am doing a masterclass on February 8th, which I haven't done. Maybe, I don't know if I've ever done a free masterclass. How funny is that? I don't know. I mean, I guess I've never done a paid one either. Technically I did Million Her Forum, but that really wasn't a masterclass. That was more like interactive coaching, teaching kind of thing. But, yeah, so I don't think I've ever done paid or free masterclass. So excited to be doing that. So I'm doing that February 8th on the partnership model. So if you are interested at all in joining me for that, I would love to have you. I do not remember what the link is, but I will find it and I'll put it in the chat after. But yeah, I'm basically just talking about all things partnership model. So if you have questions about what this could look like for your business, or maybe even you're a coach and you want to know what it could look like for a client's business, or you just like want to be nosy and hear more about it, I get that. I love hearing about different business models. So join me. It's going to be super fun. When you sign up, there's a thing that you can ask questions in as well. So I'm like really tailoring the presentation around a lot of the different types of questions we have coming in. So would love to have you guys there. Would love to be with you live. I'm really excited to do that again. I don't feel like I feel like I teach a masterclass here every week. It's just, I don't like charge for it or make it a big thing. But this is going to be a fun one. So would love to have you. Hi, Belinda. Good to see you. Yes, it is going to be very fun. I feel very good about it. So anyway, would love to have you guys there. Moving on. Ads. So I would love to know if you're listening. Have you run them? If you have, say like one, like give me a number one or something. Yes, I run ads. No, I have not is like a number two. And number three would be like, I have, but I'm not now. I'm just so, or like number one would be like, I am. Number two would be like, I'm not. Number three would be like, I have, but I'm not right now. Just so curious to hear where people stand with some of this and where they're at. I think that it's just helpful to normalize all of that. So anyway, let us know. No right answer, but very curious. So, all right, Manali's running some now. Amazing. Okay, so there's basically three options that I want to share with you in terms of deciding if it would be time to run ads for you. So one is either you have the data that says this is a really good move. So we'll talk about what that would look like. Two would be like, you want a really useful way to get data more quickly. And three would be like, it's not the right time and you need to double down on figuring out what works first. Those are pretty much like your three options. I'm going to use ads because I know I have something that works really, really well and I want to put money behind it. I'm going to use ads because I want to figure out what's working in my business really, really well. And I want to do that quickly and I'm willing to pay for that. Number three would be like, I don't know what's working really well and I don't want to spend a ton of money on ads right now. And so I need to figure out something else. So those are kind of like the three paths we're going to talk about. And I'm three all day. Is that three of this one, Michelle, or the last one where you're like, I have, but I'm not now? I'm pretty sure you haven't. So I'm assuming this one, but just wanting to like clarify there. But yeah, so all are okay. there's no like wrong answer here, but I think it's just really important to be able to decide which thing that you fit in and like actually know the answer. Because I feel like sometimes what can happen with Facebook ads is it just seems really exciting. Like, it's just like, oh, I'll just run Facebook ads and then like I'll have all the clients and money I could ever want. And I think it is a scary thing when people are thinking about it that way, because I think I wrote this in the email, but it's like they're basically lighting money on fire because they're not actually intentionally using it to gather data, but they're not also at a place where they're like putting them behind something that works, right? And so like they're just like literally lighting money on fire. Like, may you get people on your list from that? Probably, but like that is not the move. So I just want to talk about like, how do we run them intentionally without lighting money on fire? Team no business running ads. Hey, Diane. I totally ran them in my calligraphy business and I had no business running ads. Lesson learned. Right. See, perfect example. Thank you, Michelle. Like when you run them and you're just like, this seems like a good idea. And then you do, like, you will typically learn a lesson a very hard way. Very similar to like when you invest in anything without like a lot of thought behind it. And this is just another example of that. So I just want to talk through that. I'm always happy to go first with making mistakes. Perfect. Thank you for being our guinea pig. All right. So the first one is you have the data that says it's a good move. So I thought it might be helpful if I use client examples here too. So one of my clients is running, a lot of my clients run ads right now, but like I'll use, for each of these, I'm going to use one specific client example, but know that there are probably many clients that this applies to. But like she launched a program multiple times, knew it was working really, really well, had really good data in terms of like conversion rates and stuff like that. Like, i.e., when people bought this small product, like the conversion rate to like her big course was really good. Or when people got on her list, the amount of people that then bought the small product was really good. Like everything in her funnel was working super well organically. And so it just made complete sense to put ads behind it because one, everything was working really well. Two, she has a program that is uncapped. It's a course, right? So there's like no, like it's a 10-person mastermind or something like that. So she has all the capacity and a working funnel all day, every day. It makes sense to put ads behind that. Lisa said, totally threw money at ads at the beginning of my business. 10 out of 10 do not recommend. I don't know why that made me laugh so hard, but your 10 out of 10 do not recommend got me. But yes, like I think a lot of new business owners do this. And actually what I think is helpful to say about that, thank you both for sharing that, is then when you do get to the point where you're ready, you might like have a really bad taste in your mouth about them because you did it at the beginning of your business when you had no business doing it. And so I think it's important to talk about this too, because like maybe at least it's totally time for you to do that again. I don't know, but and obviously not there's any pressure to say that you need to, but like sometimes when we do that at the beginning and then it doesn't work very well, like we're hesitant to do it later, but it's like really about being like, oh no, it just didn't, like I wasn't at the right place to do it at the beginning. And that's why it didn't work. Right. Michelle said, I would love to run ads to my evergreen course funnel someday, but got to figure out how to sell it first, but one-on-one priorities. Yes, exactly. Manali said, yes, had solid organic audience conversions. Granted, they were a warm audience, so started testing with ads, starting small to test it would still convert profitably with a cold audience. Bingo, right? So what Manali is saying is like, she knew basically exactly what I was saying with this client. Like she knew that her organic funnel was working super well. And so yes, once we put ads behind it and it's not someone that like found us organically or is maybe already warmer and it's a totally cold audience, like is the conversion going to change? Of course, right? But if you already know it's at X amount, and even if it changes by, a percentage, like you're still going to be profitable, that is the perfect time to be doing it. So it's like you have big capacity, you have a funnel that's working really well organically, you have data to support that. Totally makes sense, especially if you have data and knowing what actually gets people to convert. So this client in particular was like really obvious what was helping people convert. So now we can even tailor ads and messaging around that too. Like everything just made so much sense. And she's scaled super, super fast with ads. Made $1 million last year, like tripled her revenue from the year before, in large part because of ads. Like they can be lighter fluid. They really can. But so much of it was figuring out what was working first. And so I just want to encourage you on that so much, is like, it can feel like such a grind sometimes to be like, okay, like, how do I look at all this? How do I know every detail or nuance about what's working, what makes people convert, what even my conversion rates are? But when you know that, and you're at a place where you can actually put money behind that and scale those ads, it's kind of amazing what can happen in your business for the right model. Okay. So if she had like a 10-person mastermind, would that have made as much sense? No, we're not going to put whatever. I'm just making up a number. I honestly don't know it, but we're not going to put like 30,000 people on her list for 10 people for a 10-person program. So that's something to remember too. Like it's not that you always have to have unlimited capacity, but you do want to make sure that your ads kind of match the capacity that you have. Michelle said, my next ad headline is, you shouldn't do everything you see on TikTok, but you should do this. Love it. And I said, oh yes, the messaging needs to be really dialed in. Ads tracking conversion while tweaking one part of the message at a time is so helpful. Exactly. And even ads are like a long road once you start, because like Manali's saying, like there's so many tweaks that then have to like keep happening. So you really want to make sure you're in the right position to do it. Another client of mine that I want to use as an example here actually stopped running ads not long after we worked together, because basically she has two arms of her business, and one of them that she was running ads to was like a small paid product. And so she was making like a ton of sales off of that, right? Cool. But the ads, it literally wasn't profitable, because what she was paying in ads to make those sales wasn't generating a profit. And like, so the thing on the back end of that would be like, okay, well, we need like a higher level program on the back end of this that makes more money, that makes the ads make sense. But with a program that, or with like an offer that's like $100 or something, like it's not going to be profitable in the way that we want it to be, unless there's something on the back end of it, or unless we're just not worried about profit and we're just using it to grow our list to sell them other things. Does that make sense? So I feel like it's so tempting for some people to be like, oh, I should run ads to my like, whatever, $87, template pack or whatever. I'm just making something up. That only makes sense if you're going to then take those leads and sell them into something higher level that costs more money to make that worth it. Right. So that's really important to say too, is like, even if you're like, okay, I have a funnel that's working really, really great for my $87 product, like that only works great if that's getting them to something else. Like you're probably not going to make massive amounts of profit on something that small. So just like really wanting to make note of that too. So she actually, when we started working together and like looked at the data, nothing about her running ads made sense then. So like she definitely makes less sales now on that thing, but she makes more profit, because now when she makes an organic sale on it, it's pure profit versus like a huge portion going to ad spend. So just another example of like, even if all those things are in place, there's other nuances to look at. Amanda said, exactly. You need the patience and money to give ads time to run and truly see the results in data, and active management to tweak as needed. Then you do from your analysis to see if it worked. It's also ensuring you're using the right platform. So you may run ads in more than one place to see what converts best. Exactly. So it's like, this is about data. Like it's kind of the, crux of what we're saying here is like, you have to look at so many pieces of this and what makes sense. Right. And really, really know like this 100% makes sense for me and my business because I actually have data to back it up. Obviously, I am very pro data. Hello, Dateable. But this isn't just because I'm pro data, it's just because this is how it works. Like you absolutely need to know how your funnel is performing, how things are converting, what your ROI is, stuff like that. And I think that where people get tripped up is they're sort of used to running their business entirely based on intuition, right? And then they like get into ads and it's like not that game sort of, and it can feel really intense. So just wanting to like make note of that. Yes, ROI calculators. Sarah, I saw you, but I missed your comment, but thank you for being here. Yeah. Right. And like Manali's saying, she loves it because it is so database. So like people that love to like look at numbers and test and tweak are gonna thrive in something like this, or they need to hire someone that is really good at that, right? Okay, Michelle said, I heard a baby cry and had a moment where I thought it was my baby, then realized she's not here. Oh no, it's my baby. He's eating. And if you do not give him food fast enough, he gets a little irritated at you. Jackie said, so happy you're talking about this, Lacey, not able to watch the rest, but I'll be back for the replay. Thank you, Jackie. Are you willing to test it? Do you have results from the 97 price point to help? Oh, yeah. Sorry, Amanda, you're asking Manali a question. Okay, got it. But yes, if I had $1 for every time someone asked me if they could make millions for a $10 or $20 product, right, Jackie, exactly. And I think that, that's just not the reality of ads right now. I'm not saying no one's ever done it or anything like that, but I'm just saying that's not really the game right now. And so I think it's just really helpful for people to know that and level set around that. So again, know it well, like know your shit is working. Great time to run ads and you have the capacity for it and you have the ROI and the upsells to make that worth it. Another, yeah, exactly. Circa 2015. I know. I often am like, why didn't I run ads in 2015? Your child shares the irritable when you're too slow to. Yes, so funny. Okay, so the second part that is a reason you may want to run ads is that you want a really useful way to gather data more quickly. So obviously, when you're doing stuff organically, it's just going to be slower. And I think that that's something that's just like, let's just say that. I feel like gone, and again, kind of like Jackie's saying, like circa 2015 with ads, like honestly, gone are the days on social where it's just super, super easy to blow up and have a big audience really quickly. It just takes longer to grow, honestly. And I feel like we all just need to start being more honest about that. But like it takes longer to grow a social media presence. It really, really does. It's just the facts. I'm not saying it's not still useful. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying like it takes longer than it ever has. And being realistic about that is important. But if you don't want to wait for that, you want things to move faster, ads are a great way to do it. But what you have to realize is you're not necessarily paying for leads, you're paying for data, right? Michelle said 2015, 16 was when I was running ads and had no business doing so. Really grateful you're having this combo because I really need it back in the day. Oh, so funny, Michelle. Definitely had a lot of testimonials, so it's 100% worth the higher price point, I think. Oh, so interesting. But you know what I love about that, Manali and Amanda, the conversation you're having too, is that like, Manali, it's like you're doing so much of the strategy stuff and looking at the data, but it's also pointing out mindset stuff to you. So it kind of like all interplays, which I think is so, so interesting. So yes, if you want to gather the data faster, ads are a great way to do that. But again, I think you need to look at it as paying for data versus paying for just leads, right? Because if you have like a pretty untested thing and you're putting people through it, like, yes, you're going to get people on your list off of that, but like, they might not even be the right people yet. Like you literally, it's untested. You're just testing it. So really what you're paying for is to know like what works, what doesn't, who your ideal client is, who your audience is, what converts, what doesn't at a much faster, more accelerated rate. And for some people, that's totally worth it. One of my clients really does do this. She pretty much runs ads to everything she does, even if it's like really new and untested and stuff. And she's super happy to pay for the data, like loves it, gets super into it, super invested in it, doesn't care if like one flops and is happy to sort of like take that as a loss and move on. And it works really, really well for her and her business model, but she's super risk tolerant. That's just her. She has that mindset. She's super risk tolerant. She's willing to learn. She's willing to fall on her face and learn fast and recoup and move on. So, there certainly is a person who is the right fit for like pay for the data. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, I think that can actually be a really good thing. But I think the intentionality behind knowing that that's actually what you're paying for is really important. Like, you're paying to learn quicker is kind of the gist. So you're paying to figure things out faster than you maybe would with like organic growth, because you like, say organically it takes, I'm just making something up. This is not real. Like, I'm not saying this is how long it takes, but say organically it takes 6 months for 200 people to go through your funnel. That's like a long time to get that data. But say with ads, you could get 200 people through your funnel in, like a week or 2 weeks or something like that, right? You're massively shortening the timeline it takes, and you're getting to learn a lot in that process, but you're paying to learn a lot. But then again, y'all, we pay to learn a lot online all the time. Like, let's just call that what it is, right? And Holly said, I wish I was that risk tolerant. I think that's where I get a little stuck. So normalizing those flops is where it's at for me, really trusting that it is truly worth it to learn faster. Yes. And like normalizing that. Yeah. Amanda said 1,000% paying to learn or paying for many results. Yes. Jess said it's also like paying to learn from your own data instead of paying to learn from a random strategy course. Exactly, Jess. That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, we pay to learn all the time, but somehow it's like totally normalized to pay to learn like $2,000 from like a random thing versus pay $2,000 to like learn from your business. That's like the thing that makes me so obsessed with data, is like, you're learning from your business, not someone else's. And so there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like there's this like really big stigma around like spending money on ads and it not working. And I think if you're like, I'm spending money on data through ads, spending money on learning about my business through ads, like, that's a worthwhile investment. This is not necessarily a case for the fact that everyone should go do that. Again, I think it depends on your risk tolerance, your love for data, all of those things. But it is really helpful to realize that that's an option, where I feel like sometimes it feels like the only option is like learn from someone else's strategy and then like try to replicate it. And sometimes like an option is funnel people through or push people through your funnel and see how it performs. Diane said, I run low cost ads on Pinterest once in a while to promote my podcast. And since I'm in an audience build mode, it makes sense. I get a lot of click throughs and some join my list. So it feels right. That's awesome, Diane. So good. And you're probably learning a lot like about like, who are those people? What was making them click? Who are they? Like, are they the right people? Are they liking certain parts or certain emails versus others? All of those things. So good. Molly said, wish I heard this back in 2020. I hear that. Yes, learning so much. Oh, I love it. And you've been getting calls with people. So good, Diane. That's amazing. But yeah, so there's nothing wrong with paying for the data, but recognize that you're paying for the data. Like, that's pretty much my big takeaway there. Again, I have that specific client that I mentioned, although I have more than just one that does this, but she, I think, has just absolutely killed it because she is willing to do that. And like, actually what happened is one of her things that she tested started performing just epically well. And so she's just been dumping like a lot of money behind that, but it's like she found out so quickly that it was working really, really well, and then was able to like really back that and put a lot of money behind it. And it's funneled a lot of leads and opportunities into her business. But it was like, she just figured that out quicker, where it's like, if that was organic, like maybe it would have taken us months to be like, oh, okay, this is starting to perform really, really well. Maybe it makes sense to do ads, right? Like, so it can be really good, but yes, you have to be pretty tolerant to like feeling like it didn't go how you wanted it to. And you have to be really good at knowing you can extract the data and actually make that work. That's like the number one thing I say to client. Every time someone asks me, should I run ads right now? I'm like, how do you feel about paying for data? I feel like every client that's asked me if they should run ads knows that I say that. And they're like, say more, and then like when we talk it through, it's either like, I feel great about that, and I would be totally fine if I spent $1,000 and learned X things right on, or I wouldn't, and then great, let's not. So I think that's just really helpful and important to see. I guess another thing that I didn't really say in those three is that like maybe ads just aren't the best fit for your business. So I will use myself as the example here. Part of me always has like an itch for it, if that makes sense, because I see like how amazing ads can be. And so part of me is like, I don't know, maybe I'll just like run some and put some people on my list. And then I like think about it for like, 3 minutes. And I'm like, this makes absolutely no fucking sense. Like, like most of my paid products are like well under $100. And I have no coaching from them. And when I do, we already have the audience and the leads for it. So for me, as much as like sometimes I like wish I could almost, because I can see the value of what it does for so many businesses. Like it is just not the right tool for me or my business model personally at this moment in time. Right. So just like really wanting to note that like there can be the right. Yeah. Michelle said now I can run them for Dateable, and 100% we're starting that very soon. So Dateable ads coming to a Facebook near you. But like, right, it makes sense for Dateable because we have a course and it's evergreen and open, and it has unlimited capacity. So like absolutely we will run ads for Dateable. And we will track the data and we will look at our funnel dashboard and figure out what's working. We will learn quickly and we will adjust. Like that is 100% the plan there. So just helpful to see like me as the same person with the same amount of like knowledge, risk tolerance, or whatever. In one of my business models will absolutely be doubling down on ads. And in one will probably never do ads. It just depends. And so just like knowing that about yourself, I think is really helpful and important. Because again, it's just like, this is just a tool. And when it's used in the right business model, right circumstances, it's a tool that can absolutely blow up your business. But for me, honestly, if I used it in my business right now, it really would be lighting money on fire. Like there's no value there for me really at all right now. And that's okay too. Michelle said, I feel like once I could figure out how to sell one-on-one ads could be a potential avenue for catching my clients at the ideal point in their IVF journeys to get support. Absolutely. 100%. Like, and again, I think at that point, it would either be like, okay, because I already know this funnel is working, or it would be like, because I'm willing to pay for the data to see like if we can get them at this right point. And either way, that could be good. Oh, thank you, Alyssa. I so appreciate it. Oh, you just finished watching all the ones on our site. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I really appreciate it. Okay, so anyway, that was my example of me not using ads. And then the last piece is like, maybe you just need to double down and figure out what's working first, right? Oh, hey, Sam. Sam said, I think being clear about how ads fits into your overall marketing strategy is key. It's not a magic bullet and you can't advertise yourself out of a bad strategy or meh offer. Exactly. And like, here's the thing too, like, ads bring people to you, but like Sam is saying, like, if you don't have an offer that works, either you're going to learn that you don't have an offer that works and you're paying to learn that you don't have an offer that works, which sometimes is really valuable, or you're going to feel like you wasted a lot of money because it didn't land. I'm sure like for people that run ads, for people, that's like the biggest frustration is it's like, why aren't I making more sales? And it's like, well, are you looking at the actual funnel and your offer and all of the things related to it? Because that's probably a good reason. And again, that's why I so believe in like what we're doing at Dateable and having your dashboards and stuff to be able to like quickly look, assess, and know what's working in your own business, what's not, and what makes sense to shift. Because even if you're spending thousands of dollars a month on ads and you can't even clearly see what to shift, like that is such a waste. You're so backed into a corner with that. If you can be like, well, I spent that money and at least I know what to fix, great. Or if you can be like, I'm gonna spend that money because I see my funnel dashboard and I know exactly what it's converting at, like that's why I'm obsessed with data, because it gives you certainty. Like if you see your funnel dashboard and you know exactly what it's converting at, then yes, the conversion is going to be different with a cold audience. Don't get me wrong, but pretty reliably, you can make relatively certain calculations to be like, okay, so if those change by this percent and we put this much money into ads, I pretty much know we'll profit in this way. Is it an exact science? No, not necessarily, but there's certainty behind it. If you have absolutely zero certainty, behind that investment, then you're probably going to be disappointed with it, right? But like data brings certainty, and that's what I think is so important to remember here. And so if you're thinking about this, think about your data first, because that's when you can kind of just know like, oh, if I spend whatever, $2,000 this month on ads, I'm probably going to return X amount, 2 times my ad spend. That makes sense for me. I'm willing to do it. Great. Like then it doesn't feel like you even have to be super risk tolerant. It just feels like it makes sense. Right. Like one of my clients right now, she's in a big push and is spending a lot of money on ads right now. And in some ways it's like intense because she's spending a lot of money on ads right now. And in other ways it's like, we just like know her conversion rates and we just know what the standard is. And we just know that like, there's no way this doesn't play out in her favor kind of thing. So having the certainty behind that is really important. Hey, Lacey, thank you for being here. Okay, so last one is you need to double down and figure out what's working first. So basically same conversation around data. Like if you have no idea what's working in your business and you don't want to just pay to figure that out with data, then you probably need to figure out what's working organically first and go from there. I think so many people have so much resistance to just looking at their numbers and feeling into and understanding, and again, knowing with certainty what is actually working. Like that will tell you so much. You know, if you know like X amount of your, like how we're giving away tag your traffic today, it's like if you know like X amount of your sales come from Instagram, and maybe it's like a really high number, and you know that specifically like these certain things are what drive traffic, then like you can base an ad off of that and really already be ahead of the game in terms of like knowing what your results are. But if you're not looking at any of those things, basically, even if you have been doing organic for a while, when you start ads, it can feel like a crapshoot. And it shouldn't, because you should have data that's already there and supporting you, and or you need to double down and spend your time figuring that out first. Like if your data is just all over the place and like it doesn't show that anything is quite working, get something working really well first, then put money behind it, right? Where I think it's frustrating for most people is when it feels like Facebook is the thing, Facebook ads are the thing that will be working really well. That's not how they work. They cannot be the thing that's working really well, right? Like you have to have something that's working really well, and then they are the tool to send traffic to that. Does that make sense? Alessia says, I'm definitely not playing with ads at the moment as I'm just filling my one-on-one, but do you have some resources or people you'd recommend to learn more about ads? Yes. And not, so I think you're just saying like learning about them versus running them. One of my clients really loves the Successful Ads Club, which is like a training on it. And then another, one of my clients that I highly like one of my clients uses that I highly recommend learning from just their Instagram is Elevate Her Marketing. She does like great like ads of out of the month and things like that, that really kind of show what's working right now in ads. And I feel like that's just super valuable and helpful. So anyway, those might be 2 resources if you don't want someone to run them for you. However, and they also do like a consult, but I will say, you know, sometimes it is worth it to get someone to run it for you just because they are kind of quite complicated with a lot of rules and stuff like that. And so sometimes it is worth the investment in someone doing it for you, just so you're kind of protecting your ad account as well. So anyway, just a thought there. I think definitely not saying don't go learn, for sure do, but also I think if you want to get very into them, I would certainly consider having an expert support you in that. But yes, to not running them when you're filling your one-on-one because it doesn't make sense. Smart. But yes, like know what's working is pretty much my like thing that I'm on here saying all the time, every week. Learn from your business, not from someone else's. Solve the right problem, know what's working. And this is just another example of that. But I think it's a really helpful example of that because I think it's so easy to see how it's that shiny object where we're like, this is the thing, like, oh my God, okay, Facebook ads could be the thing. And like, it's confusing because they are the thing in some regard. Like I was telling you about my client that like tripled her revenue and made $1 million last year. Technically ads were the thing for her, but what was actually the thing is she nailed her funnel. And so all ads did is send more people through that. And that was the thing. And so that's kind of what I really want you to see here is it looks like on the, surface for a lot of people, like, oh, ads were the thing that made them crush it. And it's like, actually building out like a really well-oiled machine that really doubled down, that really was an exceptional product that made great sales from them, that was working organically. That was the thing. And that took a lot of time, energy, and effort. And then yes, ads on top of that can quickly accelerate that. But even ads take time to scale up and to learn from and to adjust to. So it's like, there's nothing that's like the magic pill. It's just, what path are you walking and what tool works the best for you, Leslie said, so true to having an expert in the case it makes sense to know how to tweak it and make it better. It's that, Alessia, and it's also just that there are so many like rules with ads now, and like you can get your account disabled if you're not following them. And so it's just also being like really intentional kind of about making sure you're following all of the specific requirements and stuff there too as well. So anyway, just a side note. Diane said, makes so much sense as always. Thank you. Good. So that is kind of the gist. Like you're either in a position where it just doesn't make any sense because like, me or like Alessia, you're just doing one-on-one. Cool. Probably doesn't make sense to run ads. You don't have the capacity that ads can fill. Or you have data that says everything is working in the way that you want it to, and this is a really good move. Or you're willing to pay for data, you're newish to your business or this offer that you're doing or whatever, and you're like, I want to learn fast, and I'm willing to pay to learn, right? Or 3, figure out what's working before you put money in it so it does not feel like it was like a massive failure, even though it maybe wasn't and you probably would have learned from it. Like if you're going into it expecting this to be the thing, you're going to be disenchanted kind of thing, right? Sam said, yes, a lot of people get flagged for get rich quick in the online business space. Yeah, exactly. Renali said, yes, they found that really have to, oh my God, sorry, I cannot read. I've also found that to really have the ads stabilize and learn from the data, you need to let them run to 2 to 4 weeks before being like, is this working? Oh my gosh, 100%. And probably even, I think probably 2 to 4 weeks before you're maybe making like huge changes. But I think like you have to be invested for much longer than that to really see the long-term value, right? How do those real estate crazies get past that rule? That's funny. It is kind of random though too, Jess. I think there are some things you can like get away with, but you almost don't know when it's going to like come back and bite you in the butt too. So I feel like you have to be careful there, but I digress. Yeah, Sam said 90 days, right? Like I think absolute minimum. So I would just remember too, that like this, like anything else, takes time. I think that so much of what people sort of got ingrained about ads is that like, oh, it's just like $1 a lead and it's really fast and just put a few dollars a day to it and and like those times have fucking changed. Like again, I kind of wish I had run ads back in like 2015, 2016, but like that is not the game we're playing. Like they definitely need more time, energy, attention, money, all the things than that, but they can be really, really, really amazing for you, right? So just remembering this is a tool, it's not the thing. And that's what most things are in your business, a tool, not the thing, right? Sam says it has to do with your targeting and the verbiage you're using, not only in the ad, but on your landing page, there's definitely some strategies, LOL. So funny. So takeaways. Figure out which stage you're at, what makes sense for you. Like maybe you're at the stage where you're like, wow, my shit does work really well. Why am I not considering ads? Okay, amazing. Like maybe it's really time to lean in there. Like I hope that that's a good takeaway. Maybe you're at a stage where you're like, you know what? I'd rather invest $5,000 in ads than, of course, I'm willing to do that and learn. Amazing, right? Or maybe you're like, I see how my brain has been telling me that if I could just run ads, that everything would change. And maybe that's not actually the case here. Like, what if I worked on doubling down on the funnel that I have, learning from it, getting data from it, and then put money behind it with a lot more certainty, would that be better? So just figure out like, where do you fall in that? And again, biggest takeaway, learn from your business. The thing that's cool about ads is it forces you to learn from your business and not someone else's, right? It really forces you to go, this is what my people are responding to. This is how my funnel is performing. Like, it makes you look at these things. And I think that is like one of the biggest upsides I see to it, besides obviously like giving you traffic, but having to get that intimate with your business and your numbers is such a good thing, but also you don't have to like wait for ads to do that. So remember that as well. This is like, for me, when I think about Dateable and what we're doing, and the fact that Measure and Maximize is like $1,200, oh, it's $1,297, but like that, to me, that is like the most no-brainer money you could ever spend, because if you're going to go spend $5,000 on a course, have data that backs it up. If you're going to go spend $5,000 toward ads, have data that helps you know that. Like that is the best money you can spend in your business, is to be able to see these things, to see your funnel on a dashboard and know what's working, to see when you spend money, you can actually learn from it. Again, whether it's on a course that you're trying and like seeing how that plays out in your business, or whether it's on ads, like being able to see the results of your actions in a very, very clear way is the most underrated thing in business, I think. And it's also where people get the most frustrated. And so you can just see with this example, it's like, oh yeah, running ads would be massively frustrating and would feel like lighting money on fire in many cases if I didn't have either the ability to look at the data after or the ability to look at it on the front end. So just remembering that like, this is an amazing tool, and all tools are as amazing as the way that you utilize them and the questions that you can ask around them. And data is what makes that possible. Jess said, yes, I picture some people with data closing their eyes and being like, I can't see you, you can't see me. Right. Totally. It's so funny. But it's really funny too, how like, how do I want to say it? It's like, it's almost like less scary for some people to be like, I'll go spend $5,000 on this program or whatever, than like, I'll like look at my numbers. Right. And I get that that's entirely a mindset thing, and have so much to say around that that is not relevant to this live stream. But it's so real that it's like, I would rather just like outsource that almost, you know what I mean? Like someone else tell me what to do versus like, what is actually working in my business. And so I feel like the challenge of all of this is being like, I have to like get ready and comfortable and willing to look at what's working in my business. And same with ads. It's like, I have to get ready and comfortable and willing to look at this as it applies to my business, because yes, I can hear the stats on like, well, one of Lacey's clients tripled her revenue and made $1 million last year because she used ads. So I'll use ads. Like, it doesn't work like that. And that's not the full picture. That's not the full story. And it's entirely missing what's happening in your business with your thing. And so I just kind of want to illustrate that, where it's like, yes, that like headline is true. And there's like about 100 nuances behind it that only get solved if you're willing to look at your own business and your own numbers. So that is my like soapbox for the day. I'm sure you will hear me talk about this all the time. Like, data is where your certainty is. It's where your money is at. It's where your next steps are at. And our industry has just gotten used to operating in a way where that's like hidden almost. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's not talk about that. But here, buy my course for sure. That will tell you how to do blah, blah, blah. Like, but let's not talk about like the numbers related to that, or if that makes sense for you or whatever. And so this is just like kind of my, like soapbox right now of being like, or we could just look at the numbers and know, and then you could get the best results from that, because like maybe ads are going to totally blow up your business and maybe they're not, but it depends on you and what's going on with your data. Does that make sense? So I feel like this just does not need to be a secret in our space anymore, but I feel like what Jess said is very true, as we need to be willing to look at it. So I hope this is helpful. I think that, you could really apply this to many a thing. Like, yes, this conversation was about ads, but just remember that you can apply this to almost any investment you're making. Like, do you just know and have the data that says this is the exact right investment? Are you not sure, but you're kind of like willing to be risk tolerant and like double down on learning and seeing if it is? Or do you actually need to figure out what the problem to solve is first and get clear on that before you make an investment? Like, this gets to be that conversation on a much bigger, more like macro scale than just ads. But I just like want to use ads as the example because I think it's a helpful one. But just remember, like, this applies across the board and data is your solution. So if you have questions, let me know. If you guys have thoughts on this, would love to hear them. If you watch and comment today, we are giving away Datable's Tag Your Traffic dashboard, which is so good. Helps you know where your traffic is coming from in your business, kind of life and business changing. So we'll give that away to anyone who comments. So thank you guys so much for being here. If you want to find out more about Dateable, our website is getdateable.com. Obviously here for any questions around that. Our program Measure and Maximize is always open. And we are actually going to have Jen, I think not next week. Oh, next week I have such a juicy live stream topic. It's completely mindset. It has nothing to do with data. It's going to be very good. But after that, we have Jen coming. So I want you guys to get to know her more too, because I think it will be very, very helpful for you guys to hear from Jen's data brain as well. We're actually in talk chat GPT. So not this coming week, very juicy mindset and industry conversation. Following week, Jen and chat GPT. Very exciting. Are you really going to leave us hanging like that? I think I am, Michelle. It's going to be exciting that you should come. I know you'll come. All right, that's all I got, guys. So if you have Dateable questions, if you have questions on ads, if you need any other support, Sam was on here today. She, you guys remember her from season 2 of Literally. She has an agency that does them. So feel free to ask Sam as well. And ChatGPT now has all sorts of disclaimers out. Yeah, totally. I'm so excited to get into that. And you will be here. Amazing. All right, guys, I hope you have a beautiful week and I'll see you next time. Bye.